Got it. So I will keep my eye on the waiting room for anybody that happens to come in. All right, December class, it's been a minute since we have seen each other. I'm looking forward to working with you guys today on stairs and tablet stuff and a ton of nitty-gritty type of nuts and bolts kind of stuff. So before we get started, there's a couple of players that are on the call today that you guys may or may not have seen. So I want to make sure that everybody has a chance to introduce themselves. So as it would happen, down the left-hand side of my screen, I've got all three of the Petersons right there. So Thomas, would you introduce yourself and then where are you, and then introduce your brothers.
Yeah, this is Thomas Peterson, eldest Peterson here. We are coming in from downtown Chicago area. We were just visiting our office yesterday, and that's where we're setting up shop. And yeah, that pretty much covers it. And then this is my brother Christopher as well. I don't know if you're to the left or right of me. And then he'll be taking on mostly office manager duties. Anthony Peterson with the hat over there, mostly taking on design associate duties. We're all sort of taking on co-ownership roles, but we're specializing into some areas we happen to be better at, or things that work well with given our unique setup here. So looking forward to talking to everyone again.
Nice. Scott, would you introduce yourself?
Yeah, Scott Rasu. I was in the September class and I moved to the December class. So good to be with you guys. I'm in Northern Virginia, just outside Washington, D.C.
Scott's in one of those, he's in one of those states that it's absolutely horrible to start a flooring business in.
Yeah, it's killing me.
Licensing is no joke.
No.
Let's see, Jabril, how about you?
Hi everyone, my name is Jabril. I'm in the Dallas area and I moved like Scott from the September class to the December class. I have a design associate who's actually ahead of me. Yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting all of you guys.
Good stuff. Let's see, Beth.
Hi guys. It's all guys, right? Yeah. Okay.
So far.
My name is Beth. I'm located north of Charlotte in the Lake Norman area. I'm purchasing the Martins territory, which is a big one. So doing my best to try to learn everything I can. It's a little slow going, but I'm working on it.
Beth has that Mooresville, North Carolina area. Do you cover Concord and Davidson and all those little towns too?
I believe so. I believe I'm down to Huntersville.
Yeah, I think you're all the way down into northern Charlotte, right?
And up north to Statesville. And then I said, who's got like Hickory and the stuff that's west of me? And bam, I had 6 more zip codes added to my territory. So I guess I have them.
She's got the area where all the NASCAR drivers live. She's right up north of Charlotte. Good stuff.
Oh, cool.
Jerry.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Jerry Gray. I am in Greenville, South Carolina. So about 2 hours west of where Beth lives and works. In fact, I'm at the midway point between Charlotte and Atlanta, almost exactly the midway point. So yeah, new franchise here. Excited to get started December the 11th.
Good stuff. Carrie.
Yeah, welcome everybody. Kerry Cox out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. So up in northwest part of the state. I guess it's northeast part of the state. I just got lost, I guess. So.
We'll get it.
Thank you.
All right. Let's get started. So we've got a ton of stuff that I'm going to do today. Some of which is what I'll call PowerPoint slide dependent. A lot of which is not, because I'm going to go off book a little bit and spend some time going through some of the feedback from some of the stuff that we've looked at. I want to get into the practice proposals, I'm trying to say, and I want to get into the tablet and show you guys where there's some features that I think you might have not seen, if that makes any sense. Maybe it'll make more sense when we get there. So let me share my screen with you. we're probably not going to review a specific hardwood LVP proposal, but we will get into some of the feedback that I've left you guys. We are going to spend a ton of time talking about pricing hardwood stairs, and the reason that it maybe feels like I'm already rushing is because I have you guys for about an hour, less than an hour now, and then Scott Brown from Stairtek is going to jump on here at 2 o'clock Eastern. And Scott's going to walk through the Stairtek order my stairs system. And I will tell you that Scott moves very, very fast, but he doesn't mind being interrupted with questions. So if you find that he's moving too fast for you to absorb, just know two things. One, it's okay for you to stop him and ask him to slow down or to cover something again. And two, this is being recorded, so you can go back and watch what it was that he went through if, in fact, he moved a little too quickly for you. I do want to jump into the tablet because I want to spend some time looking at what does it look like to write a proposal for laminate and stairs, right? So this is the first time that you're going to see that happen. And I know I gave you homework this morning to write a proposal for a laminate floor. I'm going to ask you this week to write two, one with just laminate and the second one with laminate and stairs. So we'll work through that together. And I've got Leaf Curtis jumping in. I see him in the waiting room. And we are going to
Arlen,
keep trucking. Yes, Beth.
would you recommend that we do the laminate plus stairs as a second option on the original customer? Is that fine?
You could do that. Yep. There's no problem with that at all. Hey, Leaf, we've just gotten started. Would you quickly introduce yourself? Where are you? Sort of your situation in the business?
Yeah, so Leif Curtis, I'm in the Texas Panhandle. So I purchased the territory from Abby Barnett. So I have, gosh, pretty much the upper 41 counties of Texas, I believe, is where my zip codes are. I have a big old list of zip codes, but yeah, purchased that. Started in September 1st.
And I think on this call that your closest neighbors, Jabril is in the Dallas area, but Carrie is in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So I'm not sure exactly which one of those would be closer to you.
It'd be Dallas.
So, all right, here we go. Stairs. So this may seem like boring content for some of you. This might seem like it's old hat. If you've never seen the underside of stairs, I know we spent a little bit of time at pre-launch talking about stairs, but I just want to dive into this just a little bit more here. So this is really more about terminology. You guys are never going to have to build, at least from a flooring perspective, you're never going to have to build a staircase, okay? But it's important to sort of understand what's going on underneath the part that you see. So these support beams, these support boards that are underneath the staircase, these are called stringers. And if you look at it, sort of, you turn your head at an angle, you can see that this is nothing more than like a 2x10 or a 2x12 piece of lumber that somebody has just come in and cut. You know, if you look at this sort of on an angle, you can see that it just looks like they've cut saw teeth into it, right? But they're cut at a very specific angle and at a very specific depth, so that what you end up with is you end up with a place that you can put a stair tread, and you end up with a place that you can put a stair riser. So when I look over here on the right-hand side, you can see this staircase a little bit more filled out. Now, you've got your stringers that are underneath the stairs for support, and the board that's on the top that you walk on is typically called a tread, and the board that that you see when you're looking at it face on, that's called the riser. Okay, so your horizontal board is called a tread, and your vertical board is called a riser. When you get into the world of flooring, you should never have to deal with any of this, because you're not building a staircase from scratch. What you're going to be doing is oftentimes maybe you start with something that looks like this, and you're putting a hardwood tread on top of it. Maybe what you're doing is you're starting with something like this and you're putting carpet over it. It might be that you're walking into a home that already has carpet on the stairs, and they want to remove the carpet and put hardwood stairs in. But that doesn't mean that you're ripping it all the way down to the stringers. No, you'll typically take it down to just what you see here. and you'll cover over the existing stairs and risers. A little bit of terminology that we just, by the way, stop me at any time. If you've got questions, you know, stairs to me are very easy. They're very logical to me. I love stairs because it's per each. I mean, it just makes life really, really easy. But if the terminology is new to you, feel free to stop me. A boxed staircase is a staircase that if you think about this tread, if you think about the top board, you think about this tread, on one side, that tread goes into either a wall or it goes into a piece of trim, so that you can't see the edge of that board. You cannot see the end of that board. And if you look at this one in particular, that tread, you have to sort of visualize on the inside of this board, that tread is butted up against those boards on either side, on both sides of the staircase. This is what's called a boxed staircase. Okay, and the reason that it's important to understand that this is called a boxed staircase is because both sides of this, the left side and the right side, they're unfinished. So you're not that concerned about whether or not the side of that board is stained. You're not concerned about whether or not the side of that board has any sort of finish on it at all. This is truly the easiest staircase that you can do because you're not worried about what the sides look like. On the other hand, you've got something called what you'll see, how you'll see it labeled in the tablet is it's called upholstered on one side. Now, the word upholstered might throw you at first because when you think about it, you're like, well, wait a minute, what's being upholstered here? But imagine, if you will, if this staircase was finished out and there was a banister up here and you had the balusters and the spindles going up and down, then if you were to put carpet on this, you would end up having to upholster that carpet around each one of those individual pieces that are sticking up, right? The balusters that are sticking up. This is, some people will call this a left return. Okay, why? Because on the left-hand side, it returns. So you have a finished edge on the front, you have a finished edge on the back. Some people will call it finished on the left. Why is it left? Because you're always looking at the stairs from the bottom facing up, not the top facing down. So if I'm standing down here, it is the left side that is finished, the right side is boxed. On the other hand, you might have a right return or upholstered on one side, upholstered on the right side. And once again, you've got your closed stringer on one side, it's open on the other side, and you've got your boards on the top. You can also, you can have a double return. You can have a staircase where when you look at that stair tread, it is finished or it returns on both sides. Questions about any of this so far? Okay. This is, when somebody is building a house, this is pretty common. You walk into a house and this is what you see. Now, again, I don't expect that you guys are going to see this because by the time you get there, they're going to have these, where these are open, you're going to have treads on each one of these, but just like you see here, they might be unfinished treads. Okay. So in a case like this, you're trying to put something that's decorative. You're trying to put something that makes it look nice. I mean, you can imagine if you just put boards on top of each one of these stringers, I mean, you would have a functional staircase. It just wouldn't look nice. You can also see where it looks like the second floor, this is obviously some sort of remodel. The second floor already has carpet up here. So whatever they did up there, they haven't done down here yet. This is what a stick-built staircase looks like. Now, I'm going to spend a little time in the tablet now. Before I do, let's just look at some photos. And Google Images is one of my favorite places to go. So when we look at stairs.
Harlan, I'm sorry. Do you want us to have our tablets?
If you've got it handy, it might be good.
Okay.
Okay. So never mind whatever treads they're putting on this or whatever it is they're trying to sell. I don't care. What I'm looking at is the stair itself. And you can see this is finished. This is boxed on one side and it's boxed on the other side, right? So this is one of the simplest staircases that you could do. Somebody calls you in to do this staircase. Maybe they want to put carpet on these stairs. Simple, simple, simple. This is boxed on both sides. Let's see. Here's a fun one. So it's hard to see the right-hand side. I don't know what's going on here, but for sure the left-hand side would be upholstered. Imagine again, if you were putting carpet on the stairs, your installer would have to weave that carpet around each one of these. And don't get too hung up on the how. Your installer knows how. They're going to put the little tack strips down and they're going to make it look nice. So I wouldn't get too worried about the how. All you're really interested in is making sure that you have enough carpet for your installer to do the job and to make sure that you've got enough labor cost in there for them to do it. So you don't have to know all the little details about how they would do that. So quiz, is this boxed? Is this staircase, is this boxed? Is this returned? Is this upholstered on one side? On the other side, what would you call this staircase?
Boxed.
Boxed,
Boxed.
right? Good. So nobody got thrown off by the fact that you've got these balusters over here, right? Because it's not the fact that, I mean, a real estate agent might say that this is open on one side. Yeah, it is visually, but if you look at the tread is not open on that side, right? Okay, simple concepts, I know, right? These are the staircases that'll blow your mind, is when you get into stuff like this, where you've got these big starter steps and they might have some kind of radius on them and whatever. And this is a curved staircase. You can see each one of those stairs curves around, right? Let's look at another curved staircase. By the way, if I were to look at a staircase like this one, these bottom stairs, these top stairs, are those straight or are those curved?
Great.
Great.
They're straight. Okay. So again, when I'm thinking about the tablet, when I go into the tablet, these are straight stairs. Now, yes, I'm not blind. I can see that there's a landing there, but the stairs themselves are straight, right? So they're straight and then there's a landing and then they're straight again. As opposed to a staircase that might actually be curved. So if I did curved stairs, yeah, see these are not straight. Right, so this is never mind the fact that they're really wide, but those stairs, this inside part has a different dimension than the outside part. So you can think of like little triangle shapes or little wedge shapes. Let's see, where's another good curved staircase? There's a good one. And you can see very clearly that the outside radius, that's longer than the inside radius. So I want to picture this in our minds for just a second. I'll use this one. If I were going to put carpet on this stair, how would I measure this stair if I wanted to put carpet on it? How would I measure a curved staircase if I wanted to put carpet on those stairs?
You'd measure the deepest dimension by the width.
Okay. Are you concerned about measuring the narrowest part on the inside?
Not necessarily for estimation. No.
No, not at all. You're 100% correct. 100%, right? So in my mind, when I'm looking at this, I'm estimating the job and I have to go buy the carpet, right? So all I'm concerned about is the person that's writing the estimate or is the person that's producing the job. All I'm worried about is making sure that there's enough material on the job site for the installer to do it, right? And if you think about each one of these steps, the installer is going to cut a rectangular piece and then they're going to trim it back. Well, that little tiny triangle that they trim off, what are they going to do with that?
Okay.
Throw it away.
It's trash. Okay. So why am I going to be terribly concerned about trying to figure out how much those little triangles are? It doesn't matter. I've got to buy it anyway. I've got to charge the customer for it anyway. So instead of getting hung up with this idea that, oh my gosh, I have to measure these as little curved stairs, the reality is no, I don't. All I really have to do is measure the the deepest part and the widest part, that's a rectangle. That's how much carpet I need to make sure shows up for each step. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Right. So this is one of the beautiful things about what you guys are doing. You don't have to be the one that figures out how to cut it so that it looks right. That's your installer's job. You just have to make sure that enough material is there for them to be able to do it. Okay. By the way, this is a fun Facebook page that I like to follow, and this one popped up today. So that's fun. There is always somebody cheaper. I'm just telling you, there's always somebody cheaper. And then this is what ends up happening. So what did they do? They took these Kappa treads. It looks like they took these Kappa treads from Home Depot, which is just a really, really thin LVP, and they put it over the riser, but there was nothing supporting the nose. And so, you know what? Every one of these is going to break. There is always somebody cheaper. All right, let me bounce over to the tablet. Any questions while I'm making the shift?
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm curious if somebody asks for a large patterned carpet on a curved stairs, how do you advise, or is it based on the pattern potentially doable if you have a really extraordinary installer?
So your installer can absolutely work patterns on the stairs, but understand that the pattern's not going to match up from step to step.
Right.
Right. So you've got these cool looking diamonds, but the diamond from one step to the next is not, they're not going to line up right on a curved staircase. Now on a straight staircase, they can, but on a curved staircase, they're not going to line up exactly. So I would probably try to stay away from patterns where having that alignment from one step to the next is important. I would probably try to stick with patterns where it's maybe a little bit more random. It doesn't matter if they're not right on top of one another. Now, I will say that there are installers out there that are incredibly talented. I mean, I've seen installers that basically disassemble the carpet and reassemble it, but that is something that is much, much more expensive, and it's not something that you're going to want to even try to do in your first several months of being in the business. All right, so I am going to start a new appointment. And I'm just going to hit go. That's great. And let's see, how long you've been thinking about replacing your flooring? They said about 9 months. They said they wanted to get other estimates. And yes, they agreed to call the reference list. That's great. There's my primary and secondary strategy. Now, I would normally add an inspection video, but Zoom and the video on the tablet don't play nice together. So I can't do that while I'm on Zoom. So I'm going to have to just skip that for now. And I'm gonna draw a couple of simple rooms. So let's hit our square button, and maybe this is a 15, I don't know, by 13. We'll call this a bedroom. We can put a door in, no problem with that. There's no takeouts. There's nothing fancy or funny to move. Photos and notes, that's cool. We can go back to the floor plan. Let's do another room. We'll do another bedroom. Why not? Maybe this one is 14 by 10. Smaller bedroom for sure. The numbers don't really matter right now. This is just so that we can move through this. We'll put a door in there. Why not? Let's just move this around. Now, you know, you can move rooms around, right? You can resize. All I'm doing is pinching on the tablet or opening up just like I would on my phone. I can move doors. I can move stuff around. If I have drawn this bedroom and it should have been 90 degrees the other way, while I've got it selected, you've got the two little arrows, and I can click that little arrow and rotate it around if that happens to be the better way to do it, whatever, right? Maybe there's another room in between here. And I want to add a set of stairs. So I click on the stairs at the bottom of the screen, and just touch the screen, and it opens up a stairs menu. Now, I will tell you that probably within the next, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks, this stairs menu is going to dramatically change. The technology task force is really close to they're really close to releasing a new stairs menu, and you would walk through stairs a little bit different. But for today, this is the way it works. So I have to teach you the way it is today, and then when the upgrade comes, then you'll learn the upgrade. The upgrade is just going to give you a ton more options. I can give the stairs a name if I want to, or I can leave it the same. I can count the number of steps. Now, I normally count every step, and then when I get to the hallway at the top, I count that as another step because I need that extra riser. Not only do I need that extra riser, but I'm also going to need some sort of stair nose when I get to the top. So if I count and there's actually, let's say there's actually 14 treads, but then I know I need 15 risers, and I know that top I'm going to need a stair nose or something at the top, I'll go ahead and count this as let's say I counted 14 treads, so I'm counting that as 15 stairs. The width, in this case, what is the default width here?
4
For what?
inches. Is that
Take
right?
a look.
Mm,
That's 4 inches.
what it says.
No,
4
see,
feet.
this
4
is
feet.
4 feet.
Why does it say
Remember-
IN?
Every time you see 2 boxes side by side, the first box is feet and the second box is
Oh.
inches.
Right.
So maybe this is 3 feet 9 inches. That first box, and the reason I point this out, there's people that have sent me proposals and said, I don't know what happened here, but this has gone absolutely crazy. They tried to measure the riser, and they measured an 8-inch riser. Yeah, but that's an 8-foot riser.
Gotcha.
Okay. And it's like, okay, well, I guess Barnum and Bailey Circus is in town, so the clowns have somewhere to go. Normally, I don't even mess with the riser dimension. I don't even mess with the tread dimension unless it's something that's funky and I really do want to capture the number. Most of the time, 7 inches tall, 11 inches deep, that's going to cover you 95% of the time. Again, unless there's a step that's a little bit funky and you want to do something here. All right. Straight stairs versus turn stairs. What's the difference between straight stairs versus turn stairs? Jerry's muted. He's given an in-depth discussion, but he's muted.
A turn would have a landing and turn in a different direction, 90 degrees or 45.
No.
Oh,
Doesn't always have a landing, right? Sometimes it just has, what do you want to say? Treads that are deeper on one side. Is that right?
And that's not it either.
Okay.
turns.
Okay.
Is turned the same as curved?
Turned is the same as curved. Was that Scott?
That was Scott.
Good job. All right. So this is one of the words that's going to get changed in the stairs menu update. But the way this is set up today, the word turned does not mean I go up and there's a landing and I go a different direction. Turned means that each individual step is turned or curved. I like the word curved better because then you understand it's sort of a triangular shape, right? Or some sort of pie shape. So when you're looking at the tablet, just understand, and by the way, you do have a little question mark there so that you've got, a little bit more information. But a turned set of stairs means that it's actually curved. Straight stairs means that they're straight. So what would single upholstered straight, what would that look like?
It would mean it's not turned or curved, and it's upholstered on one side.
Yep, upholstered on one side, and that would also mean that it's finished on one side, right? There's a return on one side. Good. Box straight, simplest of all types. Double upholstered, it's open on both sides and it's straight, okay? Boxed turned. Okay, we know what boxed means, and now we know what turned means. Turned means that it's curved. So you can imagine pie shapes turning, right? Curving, if you will. So I'm just going to keep this one simple and say this is a boxed straight staircase. It's fine. You can do anything, but for the moment, I'm just going to leave this one simple as box straight. And I can hit my check mark. Now, if I want to put product in, well, I've got it. Let's go ahead and put our subfloor in place. So space info, and we'll just say that this is on a plywood subfloor. I'm happy with what's here. Good job. All right. So I've got 2 bedrooms. I've got stairs. I'm on a plywood subfloor. I'm going to hit the little $sign at the bottom right to move forward one screen and set some install info. Now, you may or may not have come across this yet. If you have rooms that have different subfloors, you can't select them at the same time. You absolutely can put them in the same proposal, but you can't select them at the same time. So, and that applies to stairs as well. So if I wanted to put hardwood in all 3 of these rooms, I can't select the stairs and the rooms at the same time. It won't let me do it. But I can select the bedrooms and I can say set install info, select product type, hardwood, and I can put the hardwood in the bedrooms. Now let me take a timeout for just a second. You'll notice when you look at this menu, product type, I've picked hardwood, good. Install type, am I going to nail it down? Am I going to glue it down? Am I going to nail it down in a pattern? I've got a plywood subfloor, so my normal way of doing this is going to be to nail or staple it. So I'm going to leave it like that. Pattern is straight. What underlayment am I going to use? I'm going to use a standard hardwood underlayment. And because my tablet is tied to some weird test box, I have no idea how much that price is going to show up. But I know that standard hardwood underlayment shouldn't be more than 8 cents a square foot. Subfloor work. Well, if I find that, you know what, I really do need it, then I'll put it in. But if I don't need it, then I'm not gonna spend the money or charge the customer for it. So I'm gonna leave that blank for now. Trim work. Most of the time, if I'm pulling carpet out, that means there's baseboards there, and most of the time carpet was stuffed up under the baseboards. So when I pull the carpet out, I don't necessarily have to pull the baseboards off the wall, but I'm probably going to have to cover the gap with some sort of trim, be that shoe molding or be that quarter round. So I'm going to simply say I'm installing quarter round to the existing base, and that's normally what would end up happening. And then you've got a box down here that says hard surface freight. For most suppliers, and there's a couple that do it differently, but for most suppliers, your hard surface freight is going to be a drop charge. So what do I mean by that? Whether you buy 500 square feet, 5,000 square feet, or 50 square feet, your supplier is going to charge you 1 fee to just drop off the pallet. It doesn't matter if it's 5 pallets, it's 1 drop-off fee. So Shaw right now is at $125 drop fee. AHF is at 99, or they might be at 100. Cali is at 99, they might be at 100. So like if I'm buying this hardwood from Shaw, I know that I'm going to pay a $125 drop charge for this freight. It doesn't matter what the quantity is. The tablet gives you the option of doing it either way. If you happen to have one of the suppliers, and they're few and far between, but if you happen to have a supplier that does charge you hard surface on a per square foot basis, then you can leave it as by product quantity. But for most of your suppliers, when it comes to hard surface, you're simply paying a drop fee. I can select my flooring. Let's just call this PG3, no problem with that. Good stuff. And now it brings me back to this page. Now I want to add stairs to it. So I've done hardwood on the floor. Now I want to do hardwood on the stairs. So maybe the stairs have carpet on them and I want to put hardwood on the stairs. I'm going to select this stair and I'm going to hit set install info. And you'll see that there's, at the moment, until this gets updated, at the moment, there's very, very few options here. You can do carpet, you can do hardwood, or you can sand and finish the steps. There's no option for LVP. There's no option for tile. It's just, it doesn't exist. I want you to think about when it comes to stairs in the tablet, I want you to think about this as just a placeholder. That's all it is a placeholder. So it really doesn't matter. I'm going to pick hardwood, and then I can pick my freight. Again, I'm going to leave it as a drop charge, hit enter. And when I go into complete options so that I can see the details, I'm going to skip. You'll notice now my bedroom, look at that. I've got my hardwood. I've got my underlayment at 25 cents a square foot. That's wrong. My quarter round at 30 cents a foot. That looks about right. My drop fee at $100. Fine, I'll take it. $1.75 to install hardwood, furniture move. Good. Now I get down here to the stairs portion. You'll notice that it only gives me 3 lines. That's it, 3 lines. It gives me a place to put in freight. Okay. It gives me a place to put in the labor, boxed stair wood install. Okay. So $55 a stair, that's about right. At least in my area, that's about right. For an installer to rip carpet off of an existing stair and then to put new stair treads and new stair risers in, $55 per step sounds like about the right number. But the oak stair treads at $40, that's not right. Because you'll notice it just has the treads. What's missing?
Well, the riser.
Yep, the riser's missing.
And then the nose, if you have a separate nose.
Yeah, if you have a separate nose, or if you're going to do a decorative trim underneath the tread or whatever, right? There's a lot of little details that are missing here. So this is just a placeholder. There's no problem. If I know that an oak stair tread, and I'm making up numbers right now, but let's say that an oak stair tread is $70, and I know that a riser is $20, and I know that maybe a little piece of trim is another couple of bucks. Well, 70 and 20 is 90. We'll call it 92 with a little extra trim. I can come in here and I can simply type in my cost. This is going to be $92 a tread. And I might even change my description over here to the left and say oak stair treads and risers. Okay, so that it's complete. No problem with that. And then I hit my check mark, and now I actually have, this is what I want this to look like.
So
Okay.
the $92 is for the tread and the riser.
Right. So now the $92 is for both. Okay. Now
Okay.
you could, because I know there's a ton of different franchisees that do this a ton of different ways, right? You could create local price lists with all kinds of prices for risers and different types of treads and whatever. You can do it that way, and there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. You can do it this way. So how do I know that it's $92? Well, I'm going to go to Stairtek, and I'm going to get an online quote real quick for what is this particular stair going to cost me. I can do it on my phone. So I'm sitting out in the van putting this proposal together, and I can very quickly on the phone put together a quote on Stairtek for what is it going to cost me to do these stairs. And then it doesn't matter. I take whatever the number is and I just plug it in here. So I want you to think about in the tablet, I want you to think about stairs. It's just a placeholder. I don't expect the tablet to do stairs with any sort of precision. All I expect it to do is throw a line up there on the screen so that I have somewhere that I can put my numbers in.
Well, in the updates that you were speaking of, is there going to be a place? I mean, why would we have to call Stairtek and not call anybody else for product?
Well, you could call somebody else if you didn't like
Well, I mean,
Stairtek.
for product information, product quotes.
So Stairtek, you'll see when Scott gets on and walks through the order my stairs, you'll see that there's Stairtek has a very sophisticated website for matching your floor, matching the texture, matching the wood. You put in the dimensions and it gives you a quote. There's a lot of back end stuff. Now you might decide, you know what? I'm going to use Stairtek to just get a number, but I'm going to actually order it from somebody else. Well, that's fine too. But Stairtek's website is actually a really, really good website for coming up with this is what an accurate quote looks like. And the nice thing about the Stairtek website, and I'm not trying to sell Stairtek by any stretch. I mean, I like them, I use them, but there's other people out there. You can use other people. Stairtek, one of the nice things about it is it's already got a 50-point margin built in. So you could actually sit at the kitchen table with your customer and come up with the quote for the stairs in front of them. It doesn't matter, they can see the numbers because it already has your margin built in.
Nice.
And this is not like going to be integrated into our
No.
tool in the future. It's
No,
still
it
gonna
won't.
have to be a phone call or a website hookup.
The new update for stairs is going to give you more options, but I can't imagine a day where it gives you all the options that Stairtek has.
Hey, Arlen, quick question, make sure I understand this. So Stairtek is a good way to estimate regardless of where you buy, then you could do that and it's automated, so you're not really pimping the company, you're not bothering some customer service person to give you a number that you're not going to use. But so do you zero everything else out and just put it all in one line if it gives you an all-in number?
You could absolutely do it that way. You could come in here and you could get rid of well, you need your install number, right? Because Stairtek isn't giving you your install number.
Yes.
But you could get rid of the freight number if you wanted to. And you could change, like where it says oak treads and risers, I could just put in 1, right? I could just put in the number 1. It's one full lot price for these stairs, right?
And it's 15 riser or 15 steps times 92 is a flat number. You put that in as cost.
Right. You could absolutely just put it all in. So I have a quantity of 1. What does the 1 represent? The whole staircase. Now I will show you.
You'd have to take your margin to 0 then if in fact it already adds that in, or it would double dip on the margin.
Yeah, well, what I would do is I'd take their number and cut it in half so that it shows me my margin here.
Okay.
Yeah, I would still do it that way so that my QuickBooks and everything was the way that I wanted it to be. All right, so I can go back, I can add, other options and whatever else. All of a sudden, I've got 2 rooms and a staircase that's at 10 grand. And I will tell you that when it comes to stairs, if you're putting hardwood on stairs, hardwood on stairs is going to cost the customer between $250 and $300 per step. That's normal. It sounds expensive. If you've never had it done, if you've never done it, it sounds really expensive because you figure a 15-step, let's just do the math, a 15-step staircase, and I'm charging the customer $300 a step. That's $4,500 to convert it from carpet to hardwood. So it's all of a sudden it's like, oh crap, $4,500 to do this. That's really expensive. It is. I mean, but it makes an incredible statement in the home. And that's really what it costs to do it. And
what's a comparable?
Go ahead, Scott.
What's a comparable carpet price on if that's $4,500?
1,000, maybe not even 1,000, depending on the carpet, so between 500 and 1,000.
So it's a big difference.
Yeah. It's a huge difference. I mean, that's why builders don't do hardwood stairs.
Yeah.
In spec homes anyway, right? All right. So let me bounce out of this one. And come back over here. Now, Stairtek has 2 websites. There's the retail website. If you just go to stairtek.com, this is a website that anybody in the world can see. And it's kind of, it's kind of neat because you can take your customer here and you can click on this stair parts menu. And it's kind of neat because you can see, oh, this is what a tread looks like. And this is what a return tread looks like. And this is what a retread looks like. And what's the difference between a tread Well, a tread is normally 1 inch in thickness, and a retread is what? It's normally 5/8 of an inch in thickness. So you wouldn't use a retread to build a brand new staircase, but if you've already got an OSB or a plywood, tread on the floor or on the stairs, it's no problem to put a retread on top of it. A return retread, a modern retread. So you'll see, the detail on the front of one of the retreads is very different than a modern retread look. That's kind of cool. And then they've got their return. So you got nosings as well. This is you got your starter treads, your quarter starter tread, a reversible starter tread. You got starter risers. So if you're doing a starter tread, you're going to need a starter riser, quarter starter risers, and then they've got some other things. So the nice thing about the Stairtek.com website is that it gives you the ability to take your customer somewhere and just show them, vocabulary words. They also have their finish library. Well, what does this mean? Well, these are all of the different finishes that Stairtek already knows about. So for example, I'm trying to think, Hamlin Hickory has there's a color on your Hamlin Hickory board called Three Rivers. And let's just see if that's out there. Yep, sure enough. So here's, by the way, look, there's Shaw's version of it. Here's the Meridian version. So because they've done this one enough times, they've actually got it in there under your name. They won't have all of them under your name. It's only if they've done it before, but it may be under the Shaw name. But there's your Three Rivers, and sure enough, that is in the Stairtek database. So they can match that color specifically because they've done this before. So as you're picking products out of your mobile showroom, know that Stairtek can match that color. Now, this is sort of the retail site, right? This is the site that anybody can go to. When you have your vendor number with Stairtek, you are also going to have the ability to go into ordermystairs.com. Well, ordermystairs.com is what Scott's going to get on the call with us here in just a moment and go through. This is where you would go in and actually do a quote. Okay, this is where you would go in and you would pick your, I'm not gonna do it, I'm gonna let him go through the demo, but this is where you would go in and you would pick exactly what it is that you're wanting to quote. You can go to the stair parts list and you can pick exactly what it is that you're trying to quote and tell it exactly what finish that you want. And so if you were doing a Hamlin Hickory in the Three Rivers color, you could say, I need this many retreads, I need this many risers, I need this many starter treads or whatever it is, and then let Stairtek match so that when you get your stairs, it matches 100% with what the floor is that you're putting in place. Is Stairtek the only one that does this? No, they're not. There are other companies out there. Artistic Finishes. Is another company that they do the same thing. And they have stairs. They've got treads and risers. They do custom vents. They do, wood veneers. They do all kinds of moldings and stuff. So if I look at their treads and risers, they've got treads and risers available. And if you contact them, you can get them to quote you on what it would be to match the floor. The difference is Artistic Finishes doesn't have a cool website that you can just do this on the fly. You've got to contact their customer service and get with them to get a quote for what it's going to look like. They're going to be similarly priced with Stairtek. A strategy could be that I go to the Stairtek website to actually price it up, but then before I order it, I get a second quote from Artistic Finish, and whoever has the best quote wins.
Well, I also like that you can see what the products look like, what the terms are on the site. I think that's an advantage for somebody like me.
Well, it makes it really convenient. It makes it really, really convenient to put together. Okay, just like anything else, the first time you do it, it's going to take you an hour to put one of these together, and it's going to feel like it's forever. After you've done 2 or 3 of them, you'll realize, wait a minute, I can put together a quote from Stairtek in less than 5 minutes. I know what my number is, and I can go with it, and I can get the customer a price. And if Artistic Finishes or somebody else happens to be cheaper, I can go that way, because I didn't promise the customer that Stairtek was going to do it. I promised the customer that we were going to match their floor. So then I'm open to use a different supplier, but maybe Stairtek has the better price or the better lead time or whatever it is that's better. That's the number I quoted it with, so rock and roll.
Arlen, I have a question.
Yeah.
So you've got a customer, they're changing out their carpeting for hardwood, but they have currently an oak or a staircase that is oak, sand, and finished.
Okay.
But they're going to do engineered hardwood, and they want that to match the treads. What would you do there? Would you retread those with?
Well, you've got 2 choices. One, you could retread them, right? And what that would mean, I would be getting let's just pick a box retread. I would be picking a box retread, and I would be I'd be picking the floor according to whatever. So let's just pick our pre-finished. I'll stick with my 3 Rivers for now, since I know it's in here. Yep, there it is. So bam, I've got my 3 Rivers, good stuff. He'll explain why sample is required. If they haven't done this particular color in a couple of months, they ask for a new sample. But one way that you could do, to answer your question, one way that you could do it is you could say, yep, I'm going to retread on top of the existing hardwood. No problem with that. The other way is you get a sand and finish guy to come in and refinish the stairs.
Yeah. So let's say they want to avoid all the mess.
Then I'm going to retread over the stairs.
Would you? Because I don't know how this works. The tread has a little lip that hangs over.
Yep.
Will the retread go over that, or do we have to cut that lip?
Yep. So let's see. Come on, YouTube. All right, so this is, make sure that the sound is down on this. All right, so I'm going to sort of skip ahead here. So you'll notice what he's doing in this particular case, he's not cutting the nose off. Okay, you could cut the nose off. Instead, what this installer is doing is he's spacing out where the new riser is going to be. And then once he's got it spaced out, he marks it. Yeah. Mark it. Mark and cut, cut it. Good. All right. So now we're finally installing this stupid riser. Let's go. Come on, guy. We can do this faster. Trust me, you don't want to be sitting next to me if I've got the remote control in hand.
You're horrible. A nightmare. I couldn't get through anything. It's like, wait, what did they say?
So he's making the riser flush with the overhang.
Right. So then
exactly. So he made the riser flush with the overhang. Okay. And the little brad nails are only there because it's the adhesive that's going to hold it in place. The little brad nails are to hold it until the adhesive sets, right? So now that he's done that, then he's going to cut. Yeah. Cut. Get on with the cutting. I don't care.
So if he's doing that on every stairs, that's expensive.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
That's why it's 3 times more than carpet.
That's right. All right. So then he's going to put his adhesive down. And so now this retread,
You can see the lip there, yeah.
this retread is going to finally just sit right over top of the existing tread. And because he spaced the riser out, now where that retread ends is exactly where it's supposed to end, right? And
Yep.
again, he'll take his brad nailer and he'll put some brad nails all the way in the back. I don't even think he shows it in this. But they'll typically put the brad nails all the way in the back. Yeah, there he goes. Those nails are going to get covered by the next riser, so you're never going to see them, right? And again, those nails are only there to hold it in place until the adhesive sets. So it's not like you're expecting the nails those little tiny nails to hold it. So that's one way to do it. The other way to do it is to cut the nose off.
So how would we price that as compared to cutting the nose off, or is that price standard enough that we talked about earlier to handle
It's
this?
standard enough. So you're going to talk to, what I would suggest you do is you're going to talk to your installer and find out, do they normally cut the nose off, or do they normally just go over it? Because it's truly it's an installer preference. And get your numbers from your installer. What is that going to look like in terms of cost?
Arlen, the typical hardwood installer is going to do the stairs as well.
Normally, yeah.
Arlen, I don't want to get too specific, but what if we have, it's one of the ones down at the bottom, it's got spindles coming into it. Same scenario, but spindles.
So normally those spindles, you might have a hardwood installer that has done enough of them before that they can do it, or you might be hiring a finish carpenter to do the spindles. So your installer puts in the stair treads and the risers, and then you have a finish carpenter come in that does the spindles and stuff. And then you can decide, is that going to be part of your quote, or are you going to have the homeowner hire that finish carpenter separately and pay the finish carpenter separately, but you'll coordinate schedules?
The only way to do that, like carpet, we go around spindles. Here we have to take them out and replace them.
That's exactly right. They've got to come out, and you use the right word. Most of the time they have to be replaced. You're not normally reusing them. Most of the time they're having to be replaced. So, all right, I've got Scott Brown from Stairtek joining us. Scott, your timing is perfect. Thank you for that. And I've got people from all over the country. Nobody from California this time, but we've got Texas, we've got Oklahoma, we've got Virginia, Chicago, Illinois, Virginia. I mean, we're all over the place. We're truly all over the place.
Good deal.
And I will let
you with FCI.
Where are you?
I'll mute myself and I'll let you take it from here, Scott.
All right. Thanks, Arlen. Hello, everybody. Yeah, I am actually here in Northern Kentucky, which is just outside of Cincinnati, Ohio, if you haven't been here. So we are at a pretty centrally located place. We're right near the Cincinnati airport. In fact, planes land right over top of our building all day long. So that's benefits us when our shipping times are pretty quick for just about every place in the country. So that's where we're from. We if you don't know what we do or our background, we have been doing this. We match flooring, and we stain or we print vinyl to match a floor. We've been with FCI now for, I guess it's been 7 or 8 years now. We've been doing this, and we've been in business for about 18 or 19 years. So we're pretty good at what we do. And again, what we do is we will match either a pre-finished wood floor or a laminate or vinyl floor. There is a program that you will have access to, if not already, and it's called OMS, Order My Stairs. And from that site is where you will find a catalog of all the floors that we have matched to date. I believe that to date we've matched over 14,000 floors. So that library is accessible through OMS. which I'm going to show you. Most of the training is going to be in OMS. I'm going to share my screen here in a second. But what we do is we get those samples either from yourselves or other retailers, distributors. So that's how our library has grown over the years. So when you have a job that requires matching stair treads, if we don't have that floor or we haven't matched that floor already, then we would simply get a sample of that floor from you and we create the match for it. Okay. OMS, if I can, I'm going to share my screen now. Let's see. I'm used to Teams. We don't do a lot of the Zoom meetings much anymore. So let me share my screen. Go.
Arlen, he just called you old school.
All right. So hopefully now you can see on your screen there, which is the home page for OMS, Order My Stairs. You see that all right?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So you don't have login for this yet, do you? Anybody?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
Well, make sure you get that information to me. Once typically when you send in your credit application and all those things to us, we give you access to the OMS portal. It's browser based, meaning that you can log into this from even your phone, so if you're in or tablet, whatever, wherever you can have the internet, you can have OMS. So however that might work for you while you're at the customer's house, or if it's something that you utilize when you get back to the office. But it is browser based and will even work from your phone. And again, we will set up however many logins that you need, whether you want one or two or three, maybe you have outside salespeople that want to have their own login. But everybody from your company will see each other's quotes and orders. So there's no real need to worry about that. So from the home screen here on OMS, any questions so far? I think I kind of hit on that. Introduction wasn't exactly the best, but any basic questions on what we do so far? Okay, so OMS. Most people are going to start a quote from the big blue start quote button. We'll do that. We're going to quote a couple different jobs. And then you see on your home screen your recent quotes and your recent orders. So when you create a quote, and you can create as many quotes as you want, if you need to get in there and practice or train someone, feel free to make as many quotes as you want. It's just a quote. But notice that, again, anybody from your company, your specific FCI, franchise, you would have each other's quotes here, even if there was a separate login. So anybody be able to access those quotes. Again, we'll go through all how to do that and then how to make it into an order, which is there on the left side. But just to go through really the high level, we're here at the home screen. We'll jump over to the stair parts. You'll see this look throughout the quoting process. You'll see the same configuration of the available parts as you go through and make a quote. This is just another way to jump to the parts and maybe reference, maybe how to measure for one, or what are some of the things to look for when you're measuring or even selling. But again, most things are going to happen through the quote tool, and you'll see a lot of this as you do that. The history tab over, again, is just the more comprehensive list of your store with your quotes and your history of orders. All right, the final tab over is resources. Not a lot of information here just yet, but under the product knowledge there in the middle, I like to point this out. Again, you'll see kind of the same kind of information on all the available parts, but underneath the product knowledge, and then there's one underneath there called textures. This has images of all of our textures. So let me back up a little bit. So when you or whoever I get a flooring sample from, what we do is we catalog that floor, and we not only, of course, determine the species, but we will also look at the sheen, and then as well as the texture. So if you have a distressed floor that is hand scraped or wire brushed, these are just images here of what those are. Okay, we will catalog that floor in OMS. So I guess my point is, you don't need to know the difference between these. This would just be a place for you to reference, maybe even to your customer, on what our wide hand scrape is going to look like on the treads. Again, we'll lay that floor out. We get all the elements of it, and we apply the attributes of the texture, the sheen. Sometimes there's multiple stains that go into a match. But again, this is just a place where you might reference to your customer what a hand scrape looks like. Or you'll see on a quote, if you make it for a customer, that the treads are going to have a heavy resawn texture. They may not know what does that mean, right? The floor is distressed. Why are my treads going to be this thing called heavy resawn? This would just show that this is what we call it. It's going to be closely resembling to what the floor is, a resawn floor or a distressed floor. And this would just be a place where those images live. Okay. And that's really kind of it. There's frequently asked questions. If you want to, again, train somebody, you would find some answers to some very simple, basic questions. Okay. And that's again, the 30,000 foot level at it. All of the details, or most of the details, are going to be in here where we start a quote. All right. So let's do that. Let's start a quote. And when you hit that blue button, there are 3 types of treads that we offer. Okay. And really think of these as 3 types of floors that we're matching. Of course, we sell unfinished stair treads. Maybe you just need to go with a white oak or a red oak or whatever it might be, hickory, Brazilian cherry, bamboo. You could order unfinished stair parts by selecting the orange box there. Okay. The next one over is the next step, which is the laminate and LVT catalog of floors. I like to do that one last. That's the newest thing that we've offered. And that one is super exciting and very popular right now, just because, that's what people are buying for floors these days. We started out with wood. We're wood people here, but we adjusted with the market, and we started making a vinyl stair tread a few years ago. And only up to about a year ago have we been able to offer these to everyone. Most of this product, when we first started, was going out to big box stores, people that were buying it by the truckload. And I guess not to get too deep into it, but the reason was we were having the printing of that vinyl contracted. We made the investment, a $2 million investment in a printer coder that basically everything happens under our roof now. We don't use any other contractors or vendors to do any of this for us. We print it. We do all the photography and the digital creation of those files. Everything happens here in Erlanger, Kentucky. So having that investment allows us to be able to make just 12 treads in a certain color. You can imagine there's thousands and thousands of different floors, right? So to be able to buy, rolls of vinyl in a certain color, that didn't happen until we were able to print that ourselves. So we are able to print just 12 of those. All right. But let's look at wood. Again, this is what we love. We started, like I said earlier, 18 or 19 years ago. I've been here the entire time. So I kind of have been around and I've seen this program and this catalog of colors grow from 0 to about 14,000. We will expire a sample. In other words, we'll keep a sample for a couple of years. And then you would see, like in some of these examples on the screen, after so long, we will require a new sample just because of the drift that you'll see as the years go in a floor. So if you're looking for a floor in the catalog and you see that a sample is required, on the wood side of things, we would only need a few boards of that floor in order to match it. In the case of the vinyl, the printing of the vinyl, I would need a full box of it flooring if we haven't matched a floor for you already. Okay, let's continue the quote. Let's get going on a couple of them. So as you can see, you can filter here by all the different manufacturers, even by species if you're looking for, you know, certain species. And then of course you can search by the color name. I'll just show you the color name, gun stock, and there's gonna be all kinds of options for gun stock. So Bruce, AHF, Mercier has a gun stock, Somerset, all of these available gun stocks. And then it's just a matter of finding the one that you need and then just starting the quote. All right, so in this color, that Bruce gun stock, you'll see that these are all the available parts. Okay, and really to make it simple, I like to do this. There really are only 3 types of treads that we offer. Okay, of course they are all configurable with left and right returns, double returns. You can make them, you know, lots of different sizes, but for the most part, you know, these are your 3 types of treads. Just to make this kind of simple, most of the time I believe you will be looking at a remodeling stair tread, which would be the 2 on the bottom. Okay, it's a box retread, a box modern retread. These are installed the same way. These are designed to go right over top of an existing staircase. So your customer has decided on this Bruce gun stock floor, they're pulling the carpet off of their stairs. These 2 types of remodeling treads are designed to go over top of what is underneath of that carpet. Okay, the box tread, the one on the top here, that is just a standard tread. You've seen them before. It is a 1-inch thick tread, and they're typically used in new construction because of their thickness. The 1-inch thickness, you know, you can build a new set of stairs with them. They're thick enough to carry the weight. All right, and they are, of course, available in, you know, pre-finished, and then also to have return ends and all those things added to it. But again, most of the time I believe you'll be looking at a remodeling tread. Again, the retread and the modern retread. So what is the difference between these? Like I said, they're installed the same way. The only difference is the profile on the front. The more traditional one here in the middle has a rounded bullnose in the front and then a decorative cove underneath. Okay, so again, right over top of the old stair tread, and I'll show you here in a little while how to install these. Okay, the modern retread is somewhat new. It's very popular right now. It just has a flat or square nose on the front. So we call that the modern retread. And again, we are really selling a lot of those. But let's look at this. Let's continue this quote. We're going to select the box retread. And now will be time to start to choose some dimensions, right? All right, so you can see with the tool, you'll be able to spin it around if you want, kind of show that side profile. But this is what it looks like. That's that cove in the front. It's all one piece with the 1-inch bullnose there with the attached cove. Throughout OMS, as you're looking at parts, you'll see these how to measure. For this, of course, it's easy to measure for these because this is a box tread. When you're talking about box, which that means, whether it's the box tread, box retread, box modern retread, it means that both sides are not finished. So this being the right side. So if you're walking up the steps, the side on the right, as you're going up the stairs or facing the staircase, this is the right side. All right. So you'll see both on the left and the right side, they're not finished because this tread is going to be installed between 2 walls or 2 stringers. Okay, they don't need to be finished. So when you're ordering these or quoting these, you just have to make sure that you're ordering one that's long enough. All right, because these are going to be cut to fit in the field. Right. Okay, so let's look at the lengths that are available, 36 all the way up to 96 inches. Now, most of the time, you're going to be ordering or you're going to be quoting a 42 or 36 inch. That's the lion's share out there. Okay. But we do offer all the way up to 8 foot in length. All right. So let's do it. Let's create a quote. Let's choose 42 inch. And then you'll notice the depth, 11.5. On all of our treads, no matter if it's laminate, or the retread or 1-inch tread, all of our standard depths are 11.5 inches from the front to the back. Okay. That's how they come. That's how they start. But what's great with OMS, it gives you the ability to customize this. We can make this tread all the way up to 18 inches deep if we need to. Okay. It's pretty rare, but it's nice to have that flexibility to make it longer. All right. Let's just keep it at 11.5. The thickness
sorry,
is
Scott,
5/8.
question?
Yes.
Why would you need a deeper tread?
If the staircase that you're covering happens to have a deeper stair, because you'll see it sometimes, whether it's an old house or there's sometimes where what you're covering is that dimension. Okay, what they have on site is what dictates what size you're going to need, right? Because you want to cover that fully.
Yeah, like Greg, like some of the examples that Arlen was showing us that are wider on one end than the other end, that would dictate a wider or deeper tread.
It could, yeah.
It's a great call. So you'd cut it back at an angle to have a wide end and a more narrow end.
That's right. If you had a pie shape, some people call it pie, or yeah, you could, if 18 inches is, your dimension on that widest part of the tread, yeah, you could order the 18 inches and then cut that to fit in the field. Now, we do other customization stuff. If what you are looking for is not available on OMS, probably 98% of anything that you ever need is available on OMS. But if you did need those pie shapes, and typically a pie shaped stair is going to be wider than 18 inches, they're usually like 23, 24. Just let me know and we'll get that price for you. Okay. But OMS will do most everything that you'll ever need. Okay. So 109.74 for one of these. I should note that on OMS, when you have your login for this 109.74, that is full retail. Your cost on that is half. Okay. So these pre-finished treads, your cost is half. And that's not an easy enough number for me to do in half right away. So it's half. What did that be? 54, 62, something like that. Anyway, keep that in mind. We did that. Actually, FCI wanted us to do that, to set that up, because if you want to work with this tool with your customer, maybe you have a laptop in the customer's house, you're fine. It's showing full retail. Maybe you even discount it, however you want to do that, but you don't have to worry about them seeing your costs. You can work this on this with your customer. So very simply, we'll add our quantity. 12 is a pretty typical quantity, 12 or 13, and we'll add those to the cart. All right, so we can either be done and go to the cart, or we can go back to the stair parts. So we have the treads covered. Now we need the riser, right? The riser would be the vertical part of that stair, maybe the part of the stair that your foot would kick as you're going up. So you need the riser because you're gonna have to cover their old riser. So let's select the riser. And you'll see that here is that matching gun stock riser. Okay, and then you're just going to select your dimensions. Now this is pretty important because it's a little tricky where this hides. A lot of people go with a primed white riser. It's a popular look. It's less expensive, but a lot of people go there. So if you wanted to switch this gun stock riser to primed white, this is where that's at. Okay, simply click that primed white button and it just switched it over. The picture didn't change, but you can see there that I have primed white. All right, so 42 again, go ahead.
Just real quick, I didn't see when you saw, down there, standard box. Does it actually describe, when you say primed white to me, that means unfinished?
Yes, it is unfinished. because there are so many different whites out there, because years ago we were offering a painted riser. Well, guess
Right.
we never had the right color paint. So primed white means that it's primed, it's pre-sanded, it's ready for that final coat of white paint to match their other moldings.
Are you by chance going to be bringing any like PVC or any other choices that are a finish, like durable, more durable? I know people are doing things at Home Depot and they're buying risers that complement with wood and laminate that are completely finished and also not required to be painted. Just
Well, you have the matching riser here,
right.
and which has a 25-year aluminum oxide finish. So
Okay.
if they don't want the matching riser, the white riser that's primed is the only other
That's the
option.
only option. Okay. I think if you had a third, I don't see it, but if it was coming, so because it's out in the market now, people are using those other durable materials. So okay, thanks.
The problem is it wouldn't match the stringers. You know, if you have your white stringers and the rest of your house is all their moldings are white, now you put something that's its own white.
Its own, yeah. Good point. Yeah.
Because we tried, we did it. We put the aluminum oxide on a painted white riser for about 3 months.
Oh, that didn't last long.
It just didn't
Okay.
work. It didn't work.
Thank you.
All
And
right,
this is just a
so-
latex, a standard latex, 2 coats, done.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so we have the primed white option chosen. You'll see that 33.64, again, full retail, so these are pretty good price. And then you're just going to add your quantity. There's always one more riser than there are treads. So we had 12 treads, we'll need 13 risers, and now we'll add those to the cart. So the final piece, we can either be done or we can go get that final piece at the top of the staircase. Or maybe there's a landing, right? Is that stair nose. And just like the treads, we offer the 3 different types of stair nosing. Okay. We are quoting now that retro nosing. So you want the same profile, right? You want it to match so that when you're standing at the bottom of the stairs, they all look the same, right? So let's look at this retro nosing. Again, stained to match the gun stock. It's a 5 1/4 inch stair nose with the groove for the tongue and groove flooring. All right. We got lucky on this one. This is a 3/4 inch floor. So this is going to work fine. One thing to note, if you are ordering nosing for, say, an engineered floor, 1/2 inch or really anything else, we do not offer another dimension right now. Every nosing from us is going to be 3/4 of an inch. So you may have to go with a nosing from the flooring manufacturer. But in the case of this, I think that the installer or the contractor should be able to cut this to width or to thickness by running this through a table saw. If you put this up on its edge, if you ran that 3/4 inch dimension along the table saw and of course along the fence, you could shave off the bottom of that to make that, say, a 1/2 inch thick nosing. But just do remember that anything from us is going to be 3/4 of an inch thick. And it tells you that right here.
And do you find that this is bested here? Like if I got carpet, I'm actually butting up against if I'm just going to do a glue and a nail or staple on these. I noticed that they loosen up, right? You put weight on them. If it's carpet on the other side of it, it's got to be reinforced.
Well, yeah, I mean, if when you're installing the nosing at the top of the staircase and you're going to roll the carpet to that nosing, you know, as long as you're using the glue properly, it's not going to go anywhere. The glue these days, and I'll touch on the recommended glue, you know, it should be fine. If you wanted to shoot a nail on the top, I just hate telling people to shoot nails in the top of these because of the finish is so beautiful, and they're really not needed. Once that glue cures and it's, you know, and you're using it the right way, it's not going anywhere.
If you're butting this up to carpet, would you trim that groove off?
You could. I think that you're fine not. You know, it actually might give you a place to tuck a little bit. But yeah,
I guess my question, it won't crack.
no, no. No, it's plenty thick. The so this particular nosing, this retro nosing, is available in two sizes, 4 foot or 8 foot. So in this case, we'll just select that the 4 footer. And now we have everything that this customer needs to cover her staircase. And so we can go to the cart. All right. At this point, you're in your shopping cart. You'll see some things, you have all your items there. Again, we're still quoting, so it's just a quote. If you needed to, let's see, if you needed to add a comment or an attachment, you can do that here. Or if you wanted to change the shipping address, maybe you wanted to ship directly to the customer's house or the job site, you're able to do that as well. We do let you select the shipping type, and it's required. You need to select how you want this shipped. So the two options are FedEx Ground or FedEx Freight, meaning it's an LTL shipment that's going to come to the address on a pallet. Okay. In this case, of course, as far as price goes, the FedEx Ground is half the price. So that might be your option. If we had 100 treads on this order, the FedEx Freight's going to be the better deal, right? But we do leave that up to you to select that. We ship hundreds of boxes every day, FedEx Ground. So our packaging is been proven, and it works. It's good enough protection in most cases for all of these parts. All right.
Question? Do the stairs need to acclimate before they're installed, the risers and treads?
They do. Yep. Just like your floor. And to put a time on that, it's hard because it really depends on where you're at, the time of year, all those things. But yeah, they are, real wood, and they will react to temperature and of course humidity. So yeah, you want to get them when you get them and take them out of the plastic and let them acclimate. I would say on average 2 days, 48 hours. If you're in Arizona, maybe not as long. If you're in Florida, maybe a little longer. And of course, that would be in a place that has air conditioning, right? Conditioned air.
Yeah.
Because you want just like flooring, you want the humidity to be in the range of, I usually tell people no more than 50% humidity. Anywhere from 40 to 50, I think is ideal. I think most flooring manufacturers will tell you similar. But yeah, I would definitely acclimate them like the floor. All right, so there you are. That's the quote. We do not mark up the shipping. So you see that freight of 107, that is not marked up. Okay. And then it's given us the estimated delivery time, 20 to 24 days. And that delivery time is based on the parts that we have ordered. If we had ordered unfinished parts, that lead time would have been 3 or 4 days. Okay, so it changes for what you're ordering. Okay, depending on how close you are to Erlanger, you're going to be, if you're say in, I don't know, Tennessee or Ohio somewhere, you're going to be on that short end of that 20 days. California, you're going to be probably that 24 days. All right. All right. So then it's just a matter of saving this as a quote, enter your customer's name, your name, and phone number, email, all of that stuff. Because again, this is just a quote. At this point, if you wanted to download the PDF of the quote, it's a nice PDF that you can print off, give it to them or email it to them, with what the full retail price is. Okay, with the lead time, customer's name, it's all there. And then at that point, you're just going to have select OK. And now that quote lives down here at the bottom. I got to get a little more creative on the names because I'm just always using my own. Anyway, you'll see there, October 31st. This is the quote that we just made. And it'll live there until we make it into an order. It's pretty simple, right? Any questions about that?
You said it was one login per branch?
I'm sorry, I did not hear that.
It's one login per franchise location?
Nope, you can have as many as you want. So, and that's a nice segue, because what I was going to say next is that depending on who at your company comes into OMS, everybody's going to see each other's quotes. So maybe the salesperson made this quote, customer calls in to the office, and you're able to access that under any login. And all you do to access that quote is just click on the quote number, and it takes us to this screen where we can then either modify the quote or submit this as an order. That is just one button, but both things happen under that one button. So selecting that, we can still modify this quote. Maybe they called and said, hey, we want to do this, but we don't need the nosy. You're still able to remove that. Okay. Or they counted wrong. We needed 13 treads and 14 risers. You're still able to do that. Okay. So just coming back into the quote, and now we're going to submit it as an order. Again, same information, submit it. You download the PDF again if you like. And then, okay, now that order has moved over to the recent orders. And you'll see that it has a status of processing. So once we receive that, because when you create that order, we'll get an email. And when we get an email, we know that you placed the order. We'll put it into production, and this status will change to say in production, right? And it'll stay in that status until it is shipped. And then at that point, the status will say shipped. And then finally, the last status is a delivered status. Okay. So pretty simple to use, really. I mean, we did it. That was our first, and that's a pretty standard or typical quote.
And do you have any, Scott, do you have any concerns about if it's a small order, it's one staircase, and we've decided with the customer we want to deliver to their home? Any issues with sending a FedEx to the person's home?
Nope. We do it every day, all the time. No problems at all. I was going to say something, I forgot.
So this question is actually for Arlen, but Arlen, is the pricing this consistent enough that for a pretty standard staircase, we can come up with a per step, including the whole riser, the retread and everything, and just count them up, multiply times 95 and use that versus having to requote it over and over and over? Or is that a bad SOP and we need to just go ahead and use the site?
Well, I would say if you're talking about a boxed staircase,
yes,
and let's just say it's less than 40, let's say it's less than 48 inches wide, right? So what I would consider a normal spec house boxed staircase, right? And as long as you're not looking for a lot of crazy texturing, because texturing will add additional cost, you should be able to come up with a number that's it's close enough. You'll be okay one way or the other. So I would say that strategy works as long as you stick with the standard box spec home staircase. When you start getting into starter steps, return on one side, return on the other side, then I would absolutely go through the time to quote it.
That's right.
Scott, what is the most typical width on builder grade box staircase? Because that stuff's pretty standard, isn't it? The risers.
If you had to choose a dimension, I would go with 42 inch. A lot of people will just sell 48 inch to cover all of them. But I'd say that, just from our experience, 42 inch is king. It's why some of our big box customers stock a 42 inch, because it'll cover, most everything. But to the point on, a one price for all, I would just be a little bit, I would remind you that, for instance, if the customer's floor is a Brazilian cherry floor, for instance, I did a quick quote on here for a Brazilian cherry floor that has a texture to it. So what was that price on the red oak that we made? 50 something bucks. So a Brazilian cherry is going to be 91.
Yeah.
So
Big difference.
pretty
Yeah,
big difference. And with the texture, 210. All right, so 105. So if you wanted to put a list together and maybe do your, of course, red oak is the least expensive. Then you're probably in a category of hickory and white oak to be maybe a medium price. You could probably put maple in that as well. And then the most expensive, which I've done here, is the Brazilian cherry. So you could.
So you suggested red oak in one category is an OPP, and then white oak, maple, and hickory as midpoint?
Yes. That would be what I would suggest.
Hey, Scott, I got a quick question.
Sure.
So once you move it from a code to and submit the order on the left side, will that show the price that we pay, or will it still show the customer pricing?
Thank you for asking that, because that's what I was gonna say before. When you go to the when you click on it there, it still is showing the retail quote price. But when you submit this as an order, you're gonna get an email from OMS with your invoice pricing, your cost pricing. Okay, it automatically will send you that email with your cost on it.
Perfect, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, let's jump into real quick the laminate and LVT world. Let's see what I have for you guys. I mean, so all these manufacturers are available to you. We even have I think we have. Oh, we had your private label on here. Anyway, I thought we did. Pastoral oak. Anyway, these are what's available to you. You're not limited to these. If you have a floor, now it can't be like a Floor and Decor or a Home Depot or Lumber Liquidators, or it can't be someone's own floor color that's been private labeled, because we protect them like we protect your brands. But really, most any of the large brands, Shaw, for instance, AHF, Happy Feet, Mohawk, they're available to you. If you come under Mohawk and you don't see that the floor you're looking for is here, all I need is a box of that flooring, and it is a full box. And I know that there's sometimes pushback on that, but that's how this library grows. Everybody else is doing it, participating in this, and as we bring these floors in, the library grows pretty quick. All right, so if it's not in here, you'll either have to pick something else or send me that box of flooring. All right, so let's look at what these are, and let's do this Helena by Mohawk. All right. Now, with the vinyl and the laminate floors, we do not offer a 1-inch tread. Okay, that's only in real wood. These are a vinyl wrapped MDF with the wood bullnose, which I'll show you. But like the others, again, there's just these two types. Let's look at the next step tread, which is what we quoted in the gunstock or the modern profile. So let's look at that one this time. All right, so this is that modern profile, sorry. And you'll see that it's square, right? It's got a bullnose in the front. A little bit different on these is that the thickness is 3/8, not 5/8. But other than that, they're installed the same way. Okay. I like to point out the nose on these. This nose is actually made of real wood. Okay. And why I point that out is that really nobody else is doing that in this category. We do it because For one, we think it's more durable, to have rather than an MDF or a plastic nose, a nice solid wood there. Also, if the customer decided they wanted to put a carpet runner down these, that wood nose will hold a staple or a nail. Again, MDF or plastic, you wouldn't be able to do that with anybody else's. So that's just one thing to remember. If they are considering a carpet runner someday, this would be, you'd be able to do that with this. Okay. So really, just like the others, you're just going to come in and put in your dimensions. The easy thing about this is there is only one size, 48 inches, 11 and a half by 5/8 or 3/8. Okay. We do put return ends on them, and I'll show you that in a second. So price on these 102.10. That's an easy one. So 51.05 is your cost on that, and that's a very good price.
Sorry, question on the runner with LVP. So if we put that stairs in and they don't want to run it right away, should we give them some sort of disclaimer? Hey, if you do put in a runner, you want to make sure that you staple only in the front and into the riser, not into the top of the retread itself.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it depends on the customer, but yeah, absolutely, your installer, and really part of the sales process, right? Is say, hey, these are gorgeous without a carpet runner, but if you decided someday that you wanted to put a carpet runner later on, you could still do that with this tread. Really what these are replacing, it's been some time now, but because these have gained in so much popularity, but the days of using a stair nose and creating a stair tread from the flooring, this is just far superior in every way. Aesthetically, there's warranty with this. By the way, it's a 30-year warranty on the finish on these. It's just a better look, and really consumers are paying attention. They're demanding, or they're asking for a full stair tread, whether it's wood or vinyl. Okay. Let me and then we don't have to make another quote. You know how to do that now, but let's look at the left and the right returns for these. So I talked, I guess, a little bit about left and right. You determine left or right by facing the staircase. So if we're walking up this staircase, this is the left side and this is the right side. So this has a return on it. And that is because this staircase is an open staircase. Okay, this is open. There's balusters that are going to be installed right into the top of this tread. So this is a left return tread. So, with ours, when you order a left or a right return, we install those. You'll get those with the return ends already installed. Okay, you just have to decide whether you want left or right. Now, in the case of double, where's double? Let's look at the double one. So with the double, they're not going to be able to cut these, right? Understand that? Because they got finished edges on both sides. Yeah. So what we need in a case like this is we need the throat dimension. All right. The throat dimension is the dimension that's in between on the inside of those return ends on the back of the tread. That's the throat dimension. And when we install these, we are going to miter these into the tread. So that 48-inch tread, which is the longest that we offer in these. So the longest double return tread that you can offer is one that has a 46-inch throat, because the return ends themselves are 1 inch wide. All right. Any questions about that?
Is there any way to field modify it if you need to pull off left or right, cut the board and recap it?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
That's okay. Hold on. Sorry, it's freezing here in Georgia, so I got my heater blowing on my legs. We're not used to that. Is there any way to field modify that tread, that retread, if you have to shave a half an inch off of it once you get it out in the field?
Well, I would try not to do that.
Okay.
Here on West, you see where it can be 44 and an eighth or 44 and 3/8. You're going to order that exact dimension. If you had to shave the return end off a little bit, I guess you could try if you're desperate to do that, but I'd give good dimensions on that when you're measuring.
So order right in the first place, and if you have to, just reorder versus try to field modify.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, probably. It's probably how that'll go. Okay. Any questions about the laminate category about that? All right. Very good. Awesome. We doing all right on time? 2:48. All right. What I like to show, and I'll have to do this somewhat quick, is I like to jump right to the most difficult part, because I like to show that it really isn't that difficult. So you walk into your house, into the customer's house, and they have a fancy staircase that has one of these starter treads, a double starter tread. You've seen them before. A lot of times there's a post that's installed right into the top of this tread, right? This is the most difficult one, but I'm going to show you pretty quickly how easy it is to order the parts for it. All right, so this is that tread. This is what it looks like. There's some new terms here we haven't talked about. But then look down here, like I said earlier, how to measure for this. Okay, there's some details on how to measure for it. And then there's even a PDF file that you could print off and leave that with your customer, or send that with the guy that's going out to measure for it. Okay. But what are these new terms? So we have throw, we talked about that. That in this case is the dimension between the two turnouts. And what's a turnout? The turnout is the wide part of the rounded stair tread. Okay. Maybe think of it as the diameter. It's not always a diameter, but in this case, it happens to be. So the diameter or the turnout depth, we need that. We need the tread depth. Standard is 11.5. You can make that whatever you need. And then we need the overall length. All right. So I'm going to choose a floor. I didn't do that yet. I'm going to just do an unfinished red oak. So unfinished red oak double starter tread. I'm going to make these up, right? I'm going to just make up some dimensions. So let's call this a 55.25 overall length. Because again, this one, I can't cut this to fit. It needs to be perfect. The throat, we'll make it 39.25. Turnout depth, let's make that 14 3/8. I will select the standard 11.5 tread depth. And with those dimensions, you can see $418 is the cost on that. So you really want to make sure that you get this right? For one tread, $400. This live preview button is kind of your last way to check those dimensions. When you select that, when you hit that, it draws the tread based on the dimensions that I just inputted. Okay, so if I put something in wrong, this might be all messed up, and I would know right away that I did something wrong. Or you can screenshot this easily if you're working through email and send this to your customer. Say, hey, these are the dimensions. This is what this tread's going to look like. We'll need you to have this sign off on this. Does that look right? And they will probably know right away that something's wrong if it's wrong. Okay, so pretty cool tool. Again, just kind of one last way to check either your work or their work or both your work, because you don't want to have to remake a $400 tread. Any questions about that? All right, so I'm going to add this to the cart because it's going to do something else for us. All right, with that tread, you almost always are going to need the starter riser. Okay, so this suggested item, let's select it. All right, here's the starter riser that tread is going to sit on top of. Let's look down here in these details. See how it says 1.25 inches? What we're saying there is that this riser is going to be 1.25 inches smaller all the way around, so that the tread overhangs the riser again by 1.25 inches all the way around. Right. So you can, and that's a pretty standard dimension. Could it be 1 inch? If you go to your customer's house, it could be 1 inch, but 1.25 inches is pretty standard. All right, so you can imagine with the dimensions that we needed for the tread, to do all that difficult math of fractions, we made it easy on you. This auto configure button, hit that, confirm that this is the tread we're matching, and it did all of that difficult math for us to make this starter riser 1.25 inches
awesome.
all the way around. So you don't have to do that math. Okay. And then again, that starter riser is $391.
So if I mess up the tread and then that messes up the riser, is there a restock? Is there a restock fee?
Yeah, they are not returnable. They are custom. So, yeah, like I said, don't mess up. Really just do, have somebody that really knows what they're doing when you're getting into a staircase like this, because when you're changing out a big staircase like this, it's not a do-it-yourselfer. It's a high level of finished carpentry to when you're getting in and taking down that handrail and all the balusters that are going to have to be replaced. You're getting somebody that knows what they're doing. So they should hopefully be able to do a proper measurement for you. Okay. Yeah, that's really all I have to say about that. I guess the other thing I could have pointed out when we were looking at that initially was that on that double starter tread, we do offer this reversible starter tread. Maybe the builder or the installer, they just don't know for sure what that throat dimension is. You could order a reversible starter tread that the throat is not cut out. Maybe they want to cut that out in the field because they weren't exactly sure. That's where this comes in. Okay. It's reversible because you can spin it around. The front could be the back could be the front. Okay. And they would just have to cut that throat out in the field. Okay. Then
I would suggest, sorry, Scott, I would suggest, you could, to get the customer a price, you could put some dimensions that you think are pretty close, right?
Yeah.
Get it pretty close so that you can give the customer a price. And then when you land the job, have your installer or have the finished carpenter that's going to actually do the install, have them do the detailed measurement before you actually order it. And more than likely, your measurement and their measurement are going to be close enough that it doesn't have a real impact on the price.
That's right. That's a great point, Arlen, because that tread that we quoted, I think I made it 56 overall. If the dimension, the tread depth or the turnout isn't so much different than what we put in as 13 and it's a 60-inch tread, the price is going to be actually the same because we're going to make that out of a 60-inch tread. So yeah, great point on there. Is again, just get a pretty good rough quote on there, and you should be good.
Dylan, would an installer typically want a trip charge to go out and measure like that, or if they got the job, they'd be okay to go ahead and squeeze it in somewhere?
Depends on the installer. My suggestion would be that you tell the installer that you need them to go measure it. If you ask them, will you charge me a trip charge? The answer is going to be yes. If you tell them this is part of the job, I need you to go measure this before I order it, then it's just part of the job.
Okay.
All right.
Or at least it's worth trying, right?
Couple last things to close this up or to close out are these accessories. 2 accessories that are here on OMS, and they're down there at the bottom. But these are extremely important, especially the glue. So we talked a little bit about it. The installer, whoever's installing these treads, when they're covering an existing set of steps, they need to use a urethane adhesive. No shortcuts here. It's not more expensive. They just have to use the correct adhesive. They cannot use an adhesive that has any water in it. Because what will happen is when they put the glue down on top of the treads, the water that is in that glue is going to be drawn out by the raw wood. Did I say that right? I was doing 2 things at once. So, and then what happens is that water gets into those wood fibers and it's going to want to escape. And when it does, that's what causes whether it's a floor or a stair tread, that's what causes that wood to cup. Okay. And basically they'll be ruined. There are other adhesives out there that are urethane based. We sell this one, it's made by Bostic. But there are plenty others out there that just can't use anything that has water in it. Okay. By the way, on that note, what we were shown there was a 10-ounce tube of that urethane adhesive. This is what that coverage should look like when you're gluing these down. This is the bottom of the treads. One of those 10-ounce tubes will cover 3 42-inch treads. Okay, so if you're trying to figure out how much glue to order, 3 treads per 10-ounce tube. Okay, it's not a full trow down. You're just putting in that zigzag pattern like on the screen. Okay. All right. The next tool there, or the next accessory is the tool. This is a $22 tool or something like that, right around 20 bucks. And anybody that is covering a set of steps needs to have a tool like this. There are plenty others out on the market. Some of them are over a couple $100, but this $20 tool absolutely does as good a job as any of them. So what is it, right? What do you get for 20 bucks? So what you're getting for 20 bucks are the 2 plastic gray ends. Okay. They come in this box, and with a piece of scrap wood, what he is doing here is he is spanning the distance of this staircase with those templates, those 2 gray template ends. But what is he actually? He's actually capturing the angles. Okay. You would think that you'd be okay just to cut these all at 90 degrees, get a measurement, cut them at 90 and install them. Well, that's not the case. Even though they should be 90 degrees, they never really are. They're 91 or 89 degrees. He's capturing the angles on both sides. And while he's doing that, or as he's doing that, he's creating a template of that stair so that he can then take the template off and to the saw, trace the line of those angles onto the new tread. And then it's a matter of cutting to that line, and the treads will drop in without having to put ugly caulking on the left and the right side. It's always a sign of not a very good install when the installer has to use a big thick bead of white caulking or something where he didn't cut them to fit snug enough.
So that end actually has space that I'm seeing between the bolts to do that turn left or right, like to make that angle with
yes,
great
it'll swivel. That's
it'll
right.
Swivel. That's the okay. I was like, what's the word? I got you. That's pretty interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and again,
shouldn't most installers have one of these?
they should. I mean, there's an old school way of doing it, but for 20 bucks, if they don't have one, sell them one, because it's a no-brainer, really.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer. Any questions? Okay, I'll leave you with this. So I think I went over my time, but this is what we talk about as far as installing the retread over an existing tread. This representing the existing tread, this representing the existing riser. A lot of installers will still come out and cut the overhang off of the existing staircase, which is fine. They are squaring that up, and then the new tread will just drop right in. But what we are showing here, the easy way to do it, and really the better way, because you're not going to create a mess, is to shim. Remember that dimension, 1.25 inches? Shim that 1.25 inch dimension out with a 1/2 inch shim, and then your new 3/4 inch poplar or matching stair riser. Now you've squared it off, and the new tread drops right in. Okay, that's how we preach to people or tell people this is really how you can get into a customer's house and cover a set of steps in a day, no problem.
Hey Scott, will this work on a concrete stairs as well, like going to the basement?
With a concrete stair, you would want to have some sort of vapor barrier, which would probably be a full trow down glue type. You don't really want to be with these below grade stairs, just like flooring, but concrete stairs, you can get around that with using a vapor barrier type of adhesive.
Got it. Thank you.
So Jabril, Shaw has an adhesive. It's called 35MC. It's fairly expensive, but they will allow you to glue down an engineered hardwood, not a solid hardwood, but they would allow you to glue down an engineered hardwood in a basement with that 35MC glue because it has it's got a moisture barrier built into it. It's a urethane paste glue and it's got a moisture barrier built into it. My guess would be that if you use that on Stairtek stair treads going down into the basement, you would probably be okay.
So that will be the only prep work that will be needed.
But and the stairs need to be flat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Good. So Scott, one final question for you. How do we get an account? How do we get set up with Stairtek?
So my email is well, let's see. On the home screen, is it have it there? Here's our customer service email. And it's just that customer service at stairtek.com. Or just email me. You can email me directly. It's S Brown, my name, S Brown at stairtek.com. And then I'll get you all the appropriate documents that you need to send back to us, and then I'll get you logged in. It's pretty quick.
Nice.
Scott, do you have a customer service 800 number that we could, or any number that
Yep,
we could call if we have questions on the fly?
Yes, sir. Let me blow that up. Right there. 1-859-261-7837.
They can answer most technical questions.
Yeah, most everybody can.
Thank you. That was very
Hey,
helpful.
Scott, I'll
today.
forward you my credit application that I sent out last month. I sent it to accounting@stairtek.com, but I don't think I received a reply back.
Do me a favor if you can, just send that to me.
Okay.
I think somewhere it's printed to send that to our accounting email address. Send it to me or the customer service. We've gone through some changes recently. Our accounting department's a little slim right now. And I can best handle that for you, or even the customer service email address currently. So I apologize for that.
No worries.
You're not alone in that, and we try to stay on top of it, but that accounting isn't monitored like it should be.
Okay.
Perfect. All right. Well, Scott, thank you for your time. I appreciate you jumping on. Guys, get on that Stairtek account so that you've got access to order my stairs. I appreciate you guys jumping on today. And I've got to jump to another call. But thank you guys for your time and attendance. And I will send the recording out so that if you do need to go back and rewatch part of this, get a finer detail or something, that you'll have it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks,
all.
Ron.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you both.